Well, the last 2 weeks definitely have not gone as planned. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. 1180 was our around 20 score, and we had some injuries. We had some really low scores, and in amongst, thankfully, a couple of really big scores that did save me in this one. Captaincy was fine with Nico Hines. We'll show you that team in a sec, but into 1295, so it went down 569 ranks from being in the 600s, and not an exciting time in the 700s. Sorry, coming into this week. What's funny is I gained about 450k in team value, and end up losing 70 ranks. So very very funny how that works. I've used 6 trades over the last 2 weeks, and this was the 2 weeks, if you remember, a couple coming into round 19, that I was very excited to absolutely dominate those 2 weeks, and it just hasn't happened, unfortunately. And we'll go through the squad now and what we're kind of going to do to rectify this one, unfortunately. So 6 trades remaining leaves us in obviously a little bit of a vulnerable spot there. I've moved a couple of things there, but we did play Harris and also Paseka, and I have moved Tarpany back into that starting squad. So Harris with his 38 was a little bit of a tough one, obviously. Harry Grant was a good one with the 95, and Fanua Blake there with 122 absolutely saved this week, that's for sure, as well as one of my other trade-ins. Paseka, 61 was fine, back to where he sort of is, we want him to be. And it's just one of those guys in the front row forward that's just going to sit there, stock standard type of player, and we'll need him as our 17th man in a pinch, and likely will this week if we don't make any trades. Where with 6 trades with 7 rounds to go, it might be a good idea to hold off, but it's going to be very tough to fade a Nathan Cleary that we could get in one trade from Moses to Cleary. And potentially trading out Teague Wilton, who I did play in this one, and unfortunately for myself, I chose to trade out Jacob Preston rather than trading out Teague Wilton. So that cost me in the end 67 points. And if I end up in that 1250, 1260 range, we're probably not hating the score and everything to do with it. So in this week there, so. Yeah, the Wilton one is very, very tough. So Horsburgh will come back in, which is good. So we Fafita, Horse, and also Hopgood. So having Fafita with his 60, trading him in this week was nothing special, and hopefully, and we really think he will get back to those really good scores around that 80 mark. But that 60 for him is very much his base, and he should be able to score well from there. So I ended up captaining Hines. For some reason, I didn't vice captain Ponga. I just missed him down there, and I was just fixed on Munster being able to do pretty well there. So I VC'd Munster there with 65. Obviously would have been nice to VC Ponga. If I did that, then I would have ended up with, I would have played Wilton. I would have ended up with Turpin's 23, rather than my next lowest score, which would have been likely a 50. So probably cost myself in the end 30 odd to 40 points. So nothing crazy on that front. With Hines, he is captain, obviously the 72 compared to the 137. Take away that 30 there. Yes, the 35 points or something like that. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice to have. Obviously, Hines is captain with that late sin bin, just hurt because he was in the 80s and doing really well there for sure. So that's that. Hines and Moses. Moses the 41, so holding him the last 2 weeks with him not playing and then getting a 41 out of him is not ideal. And again, as I said, you could definitely look to trade Moses to Cleary this week just to get Cleary's score against a really a less formidable outfit than some of the teams that the Eels are going to come up against. And that's probably the big thing there is the strength of schedule. And Moses having a bye in the last round where Cleary doesn't. And I really think they need to get the runs in Cleary's legs coming into the final series, given he hasn't played for now. This will be the 6th week since his injury. So that's that. Munster with 65 was nothing special, but having him and Walker returning, so holding on to him was really, really good. Thankfully, I did play Isako for 35, along with Ronaldo Malatalo's 9. I had Garrick and also Manu for 50 and 79, and Isaac Tungwa was my trade in this week. I spoke about him in last week's video, and I hope that you jumped on as well with that one there. So Ronaldo's lost a lot of cash and has scored really poorly the last 2 weeks. So thankfully in round 19, I didn't have to use his score. But this week, the 9, we definitely did, and it's hurt. If we're looking at, and then we had Ponga and then Gutho, the 61 was nothing to sneeze at. But both those guys so expensive now. And really, there's not too many other guys in the wing fullback position that you would look to, into the fullback position, I should say, that are going to get you towards an even way better score. Like Drinkwater's been really, really solid. You really wouldn't want to choose anyone other than Ponga unless you got him in the 5'8 position. He's been scoring electric of recent time. It'd be guys like Teddy. Obviously, Latrell Mitchell's back, and he's definitely someone you could look towards grabbing if you like. But these two are very, very solid, and I don't see really a point in trading any of those guys, or a point in doing anything with Wilton, anything like that. So that's kind of where you want to be looking at with those guys there. So yeah, the team overall, I think this week, obviously with Osako now being dropped a fair bit in price as well, they do have a really nice run coming up. So I think holding Osako through this might be the better way to play it, and I think he can come out and actually score pretty well from here. After this bye against some lesser opponents, I think the Dolphins will be able to do okay, and he'll be able to do a pretty solid job. So he's a solid hold this week. Mulatalo, if we want to, we could have him as potentially like a bench guy this week. We could bench him, and actually we wouldn't be able to bench him unless we made a trade. We've got Wilton sitting there, and really the question mark this week is, do we use that 75k to trade Wilton out? With us being able to put together a strong 17 this week, do we wait for potentially more injuries and being able to do like a double trade next week with Wilton and someone else if they're injured or suspended, something like that? It's probably likely to be the correct play, I think, heading into this week. It's just holding steady. Again, I could go for the Moses to Cleary trade if we want to look at that one. You could go Osako up to, I think I could go for Brian To'o, something like that, if I wanted to play him instead of Mulatalo. There's a few little things that could be done, but really with that new left edge, do things change for Mulatalo? Does Trindle open up things for Mulatalo a bit more? Who knows? You don't expect him to score that poorly that many games in a row. So it's definitely something to look at. But really, guys, what you want to make sure is you have the correct amount of trades left, and if you are low like myself now, you're not going all in on this next week or two and then just having none left, because all it takes is one big injury to one of your top guys, and then you're in a lot of curry there. So yeah, just set yourself up accordingly. Team, a little bit annoying. I did see a lot of top coaches got absolutely pizzled, very much smashed this week with 1,050s, their 1,100s, scores worse than mine, and lose lots of ranks. And then people in really good high positions in the hundreds are out to like the 400s now. So it was a really tough week for the most part, and hopefully round 21 is a lot better for teams like myself. I'm still sitting with a really strong side. It just needs everyone to, a lot more people to kind of put it together, and some more consistency and a good captaincy choice will be ideal coming into this one. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and let me know in the comments how your team is going at the moment, and I wish you all the luck heading into round 21.